President Obama, meanwhile, is taking two executive actions today, both of them smaller-scale initiatives designed to help small businesses. But Republicans on Capitol Hill aren't happy about his effort to bypass a deadlocked Congress. David Gregory is, of course, the moderator of NBC's Meet the Press and joins us now. So, a lot to chew over here. We've got the president taking these steps, which we're now told are not even documents that he would sign. They're not technically executive orders. This does seem very small bore.
Well, I think, look, there's a little bit of Bill Clinton here and school uniform policy. There's also the Jobs Council, which has talked about streamlining, bringing initiatives to market without all of the bureaucracy of government. I think the president's trying to get through that. He recognizes he's not going to get a jobs bill through. He wants to be seen as doing something. The conversation otherwise has more or less stopped in Washington, certainly about jobs. It's going to pick up again when we talk about the debt. So this is a president trying to be active.
The conservative commentariat is already up in arms. This is Laura Ingraham on her radio show today, objecting to the fact that he is trying to bypass Congress. Let's watch.
I thought that we were a nation of laws and that our country was governed by our Constitution.
And that was obviously John Boehner, the speaker, on Laura's show. But Laura Ingraham was also talking that it was unfair to go around Congress.
Look, I'm sure the president would love to have this fight about using executive orders to try to move the economy when he can't get agreement on a jobs bill here and where the conversation is effectively shut down. It's shut down over taxes. It's shut down over what the government can do. He recognizes that this is a debate that has to move into the campaign.
At the same time, the super committee. Now, they've been operating in secret, and we've seen, some suggestions from the Democrats that they wanted to go big. Republicans had a completely different notion. No taxes, still deadlocked on that. There are also inter-party and inter-house problems, but they do seem to be serious. There's a sense here, and, you could be wrong, we're reading tea leaves, that they do want to avoid another crash, as they did in August, with running out of time and the government threatened with a shutdown and maybe having to delay November 23rd. It seems to me that the biggest number this week is the New York Times poll. The New York Times CBS poll, 9% favorable rating for Congress.
Right, and I think that there's a legitimate chance of getting some agreement around tax reform that is not going to be marginal tax rates, could be lowering the the corporate tax rate. That may be something that they can actually get their arms around. I do think there's going to be a lot of movement toward doing something along those lines. As long as the debate does not move to raising taxes, marginal tax rates, I don't think there's any way to have that conversation anymore.
Let's talk about Meet the Press on Sunday, because you're setting the stage for the week ahead and what the campaign is going to be doing.
Well, and I want to talk about the Republican horse race you've been going through on the Republican side, but also the Obama playbook here. I've been struck this week by how downcast the president and his team sound. The president talked about how the campaign's not going to be as sexy as it was in 2008. They're going to have to grind this out. Bill Daley telling Politico about just how difficult the past 3 years have been. I mean, the president has to think about how he revitalizes this political brand here in front of voters. He needs the base to get out and be active. We're going to talk to David Plouffe, who is running the re-election campaign from the White House, about where they go from here, what the economy looks like, and to what extent they're actually going to get involved in this Republican race by trying to affect who the nominee is.
David, when he was at that fundraiser on the West Coast and he talked about how the Hope posture is frayed around the edges, it seems like somebody's got to give him a pep talk.
Yeah, it did sound like that. I mean, I don't think that comes out of nowhere. I think he's trying to send a message to his supporters that, hey guys, you can't sit this out. Being disappointed is really not a luxury we have here. We're going to have to band together, and the vision is still there, and there's more work to do. But fighting that disappointment's really hard. The promise of Obama was to sort of change the game, play outside of the game. He is the game in Washington. That unfortunate reality is such that he hasn't been able to change it. He hasn't been able to really affect the debate here, and that's got him down, but more importantly, the country is down and very pessimistic.
And he's got to change that mood. And maybe it's a tonal thing. Maybe he's got to energize them at the same time as he acknowledges, we're all frustrated, but here's what we've got to do, and show that leadership.
Well, and I talk about the leadership letdown in Washington, and we're going to spend time on that in our roundtable. Tom Brokaw, Walter Isaacson has written the Steve Jobs biography. Tom's got his new book as well to talk about Mike Murphy, Jennifer Granholm. So we're going to have that big conversation about, in effect, what would Steve Jobs do in terms of tax tackling some of the big problems. And why don't we have leaders like that who have changed the world, but in this case could also change Washington and change the direction of the country?
That's a big roundtable. Great. Look forward to it. Thank you
Andrew. You
very
bet.
much.